Ethan Dunbar, y'all. Thanks. Okay, so I know many of you, and I've alluded to that, and several have heard me speak. They've been to seminars with Kelly and I. You follow our Facebook or my Substack. If you don't, all you have to do is take your phone out and take a picture of this, and it'll click you through, and that takes you to our Substack. I'd love you to follow. We really are trying to at least present truth from a perspective that's hidden in a lot of ways. It's my truth, and we all have our own truth. But I think we all need to start speaking our own truth. But if you follow us, I'd appreciate it. But I'm going to do something today that none of you have seen me do. I don't think my wife has seen me do this. And that's give a speech from notes. I just don't. Oh, hello. And now I'm going to get you going loud. That sure would have helped. Wait a second. Hello. Anyway, I don't use notes. I speak from my heart. I do the research. I practice the speech over and over. I learn it. I try it. I shape it. And over the last 3 or 4 years, if you've heard me, you've heard. Thank you. We just need a Methodist minister to keep us honest.
Amen.
I refine it, and you've heard a version of my talking points over the last 3 or 4 years if you've heard me. Because I've been trying to tell you what's coming. I've been doing my best to connect the dots and say, you see this happening? You see that happening? They're not separate. These things are connected. There's a plan. Well, y'all were here. So it's time for me to pivot my message. So, this is the first time I've given this message. So bear with me. I'll tell you in advance that I'm going to be emotional, which is the reason that I'm going to stick with notes, because I can get way over here talking and then forget where I needed to come back to. And I've now given this speech to myself in my head about 5 times, and I've yet not to break. So bear with me. And I hope you can feel what I have to say today more than hear what I have to say today. So I'm going to keep it on message. I came here today as a human being. Not as a leader, not as a preacher, not as a prophet. But I want to tell you what it feels like to be trapped in fear. I suffer from anxiety. Not a little. Medication. Constant anxiety. Can't sleep at night, anxiety. Heart rate over 140 multiple times a day, anxiety. Lots of outside factors lead to that and have led me to that up to about 54 years of life. I'm working through it. A few weeks ago, I had a panic attack. It's different from just anxiety. I mean full-blown, full-body panic attack. 1 minute I was fine, the next my heart was racing so fast I thought it might explode. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. My chest locked up so tight, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't draw a full breath. And the scariest part, and if you know me, you'll know why this is the scariest part. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even name the things that were sitting in front of me. I stared at a phone, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember the word phone. It was just a thing. The world around me started to bend and twist. It's like I wasn't fully inside my own body anymore. It was like the walls were closing in around me. Like time was speeding up and slowing down at the same time. It was like drowning and there was no water. And in that moment, reason was gone. Logic was gone. Language, the very ability to name an object, was gone. And all that was left was fear. If you've never had a panic attack, it's hard to explain how completely that fear takes over. And I hope none of you have had one, and I hope you never do. You know, somewhere deep inside, you know you're probably not dying. You know your wife is not a threat. You know where you are, but your body doesn't care. Your body believes it's fighting for its life. It takes all the energy you normally use to think, to reason, to speak, and it throws it into survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you can't reason your way out. You can't positive think your way out. You can't calm down. Because the part of the brain that controls calm and logic has literally been taken offline. Anxiety is what happens when your brain pulls the fire alarm, even when there's no fire. A panic attack is when that fire phone slowly suffocates the room and you're in the middle of it. It floods your body with stress hormones. It shuts down your thinking mind because it's telling you to fight, run, or freeze. Immediately. No thinking. And y'all, it's not weakness. It's biology. It's your ancient survival system doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's trying to save you. Even if it's saving you from something that isn't actually a threat. Your brain doesn't know how to tell the difference. And that's what happened to me. It was my 4th panic attack. When I was 31 years old, I had just moved to Davenport, Iowa. My first big boy job. I was a kid. Y'all, 31 years old. I don't think there's anyone here that's going to get offended. That's a kid. You think that you have all the answers. But for the first time, I had hundreds of families that depended on my sharp reasoning. In the midst of chaos, in the midst of stress, in the midst of anger, in the midst of all the things being thrown at me, I had to be the island of peace. Whether a kid got fed the next week depended on that. And at 31, that's a big weight to carry. I don't care how smart you think you are. And I found myself on the side of the road calling 911, thinking I had a heart attack, thinking I was about to be taken the same way my dad and his dad and his dad had been taken way before they should have from heart attacks. Second time I had one. I was in the car with Kelly. I don't even remember at all what led to it. I just remember the panic. I didn't have a name for it then. Kelly didn't know what was happening. Of course, she's worried I'm having a heart attack, wanting to take me to the hospital. And like I said, somewhere down the deep inside, you after you especially had it once, you know, this is it. I can't tell her. The words don't work. I'm hyperventilating in a car. My head's in the floorboard. The third time I had one was a few months ago with my therapist. We need mental health help. And going through that core, trying to figure out why these things are happening to me, full-blown panic attack, y'all. And it's almost like she planned it. Because what she did was pull me out. And teach me how to pull myself out the next time. She walked me through. She put names on what was happening in my brain. She gave me action steps on what to do when it happens. Very specific, real time. She was my guide. It's biology. It's science. It's not weakness. When your brain is hijacked by fear, you can't think your way out. Even fear that has no truth. You have to work your way out with tiny, real actions that pull you back to the present. See, your brain has convinced itself that you're in danger. All resources are used to get you out or get you ready to fight. Kelly doesn't like me to get ready to fight. She likes me. Yeah. But when you try to control your brain in these intense moments, even fighting yourself to stay calm can trip the wires, can send you over the edge. Reason doesn't matter anymore. Logic doesn't work anymore. Language doesn't work anymore. One thing matters: survival. Instinct kicks in. Gut instinct. You know, the brain formed later. Everything came from our gut originally. Biology and evolution got the human brain. So I was trying in that moment to understand what was happening. Kelly was calling out in fear. I couldn't answer. I was heaving. I was on my knees. I'd fallen to my knees, grasping for anything around me, hyperventilating up and down. The thought formed somewhere in my gut. Not even a thought, an instinctual feeling. Then came understanding. Panic attack. I did what my therapist said. I sought to name 3 things I could see. Just like I was taught. I couldn't. The phone was right there. I couldn't say phone. Finally, it hit me. iPad. I screamed out iPad. Couch. Shirt. I touched 2 things. Couch, it was right here. I could touch it. I could say it out loud. It was real. The fabric that hung in sweat, much like it is right now. Shirt. 4 seconds in. 4 seconds out. 6 short breaths. Just like I was taught. A little bit by little bit, the panic loosened its grip. Language returned. Reason, to the extent I have it, returned. But most importantly, I returned. I tell you this because what happened inside my head is happening right now across our entire country. Not just the individuals. I saw a lot of you nodding your heads. Following along, you've been there. You're gripped by that fear. As a nation, as communities, as families, as individuals, we can't name things clearly anymore. We can't agree on basic truths. A couch is a couch. We can't have real conversations with someone without feeling attacked. Language is broken down into shouting, slogans, and outrage. Reason? Out the window. Calm reflection? It's drowned by headlines, hashtags, and hysteria. We're flooded with fear. We're stuck in fight or flight. And just like in a panic attack, we don't stop to ask, is this fear even real? Instead, we react. We lash out, just like they did. We retreat into our corners. We cut people off. We demonize whole groups of people. We stop thinking and we start surviving. And survival is a terrible place to try to build a democracy. When a brain is trapped in panic, it can't tell friend from foe, truth from threat. When a country is trapped in panic, it can't tell neighbor from enemy and opportunity from danger. Y'all, fear is supposed to protect us. In small doses, it sharpens us. It alerts us to danger. But when fear takes over, when it saturates everything, it stops being protective and it starts being destructive. And that's exactly what it is doing to all of us right now. Fear is costing us our ability to think clearly. It's costing us our ability to listen to one another. It's costing us our ability to solve problems together. In a panic, every shadow looks like a monster. Every disagreement looks like a war. Every neighbor who thinks differently looks like your enemy. And when that happens, when we can't name reality clearly, when we can't trust each other enough to solve a problem, the very foundation of democracy starts to crack. Because democracy isn't built on fear. It's built on conversation, on negotiation, on compromise, on trust that when we disagree, we are still committed to something bigger than ourselves. But fear poisons all of that. Fear turns conversation into combat. It turns negotiation into accusations. Fear turns compromise into betrayals. And if we don't recognize that, if we don't step out of the panic, we will tear ourselves apart from the inside. We'll be on our knees grasping for breath. Not because one side wins and one side loses, but because fear itself wins. It's biology. It's science. The good news is, panic doesn't have to be permanent. Fear doesn't have to be the end of the story. Just like I found my way out of that panic attack, naming what was real, breathing deeply, reconnecting with the presence, we can find our way out of this national panic attack too. The steps are the same. Let me give you the 3 that I learned from that wonderful therapist. In the middle of pure panic. Number 1, name reality, not fear. In the middle of my panic attack, I had to name what was real. I had to look around, iPad, couch, shirt. Simple, obvious truths that I could ground myself in. Today, we have to do the same thing. We have to name what is true, not fear what's true or what they say is true. We have to say, our neighbors are not our enemies. Every disagreement is not a crisis. There are real problems, but there are real solutions. Fear distorts reality, but truth anchors us to it. Number 2, regulate our breath and our reactions. In my panic attack, my breath had to slow down before my mind could catch up. If I had kept hyperventilating, I would have stayed trapped. As a nation, we have to slow our reactions. We have to stop letting outrage rule us. We have to breathe before we act. When fear spikes, pause. Take a breath. When anger rises, pause. Take a breath. When a headline tries to hijack your emotions, pause. Because the pause is where reason lives. Number 3, reconnect with each other. Panic isolates. Panic tells you you're alone. But the truth is, healing doesn't have to happen alone. Healing happens in community. We have to rebuild the bridges fear has burned. We have to have hard conversations. We have to listen longer than feels comfortable. And we have to remember that our differences don't have to make us enemies. They can make us stronger. Connection is how we restore the collective mind of a democracy. Naming reality, breathing before reacting, choosing connection over isolation, that's how a brain wins in a panic. And that's how we heal a country in a panic as well. Each one of us is a cell in a body of our democracy, and the cells stay in panic and the body collapses. But the cells, if they start to heal, the body can recover. I'm not standing here today to tell you it's going to be easy. It's not. In the middle of fear, it's easier to blame. It's easier to retreat into our corners, and it's easier to attack before we get attacked. Stay on the defensive. But every time we do that, every time we act from panic instead of purpose, we lose a little more of what we say we're fighting for. We lose trust. We lose truth. We lose the future we claim to believe in. So today, I challenge you, in myself, do something that's even harder, something braver, something revolutionary. When fear rises, name something true, not something loud, not something fearful, something true. When outrage tempts you to react, pause, breathe. Remember that reacting is easy. Responding is leadership. When you feel yourself slipping into despair or rage, reach for connection. Talk to someone you disagree with. Ask a question instead of throwing a stone. But this is the real revolution our country needs. And it's got to start with us. Not a revolution of anger, but a revolution of calm, of clarity, of courage. The panic is real, but it does not have to win. Fear is loud, but healing is stronger. I want to take you back for just a moment. Back to that day, on my knees, frozen in panic. My hands were shaking, much like they are right now. My heart was racing, much like it is right now. When the walls were closing in, when I couldn't even name that phone sitting in front of me, I didn't win the battle against fear with some grand heroic act. I didn't fight it into submission. I didn't argue my way out. It took one shaky breath, one simple truth. I reached for one small connection to the real world. Kelly. It wasn't instant. It wasn't magic. But breath by breath, word by word, moment by moment, I found my way back. That's the path for all of us too. Not rage, not chaos, no more panic. Breath, truth, connection. We're not going to fix everything overnight. We'll not heal all the divides in one election cycle. We'll not interfere with one speech or gathering or one hashtag. But we can begin right here, right now, one breath at a time, one truth at a time, one act of courage at a time. And if enough of us do that, then fear does not win. Panic does not win. Hope wins. We win. Together. Double check.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't quite know where I go from there. This is going to be interesting. First, I'm going to just plug in I'm going to do my very, very best, I think, to plug in my PowerPoint. So give me 1 second.